All right, guys, today is Monday, August 15th, 2022. So today marks 54 days I have left to finish my 55 for the event in October, which I may end up changing what I'm going to do that day. I haven't found out 100% yet, but I think one of my favorite car shows is going on that day. So I may, instead of going to the school reunion that day, go to the car show. This particular show, it is an outdoor show, only one day event, but they have actual car guy judges that walk around with clipboards and actually grade the cars. So I might instead go to that one. And I may do the class reunion thing on the Friday night before Saturday, because Saturday's the day of the show and the day of their luncheon they were having. So I might go see everybody on Friday night and then do the car show thing the next day on Saturday. So, but I gotta get the car done first. So if I don't get the car done, I'll go to the school reunion on Saturday. So anyway, so I'm actually uploading the video right now of what's been happening the last couple 3 days. It's been a mess, man. I mean, it seems like I always have a lot of issues, and golly, I mean, it gets to you after a while when you have really oddball stuff happen that doesn't normally happen. But there's a lot of video that I took. I mean, lots and lots of video, but I have to condense it down so lots of stuff gets cut out. But anyway, that engine and trans is in the car. I have a few things hooked up, so I am getting ready to push the car out again, put it on ramps to get underneath it and, you know, finish everything up. I need to do the exhaust. I mean, well, I pretty much got to do everything, but I do need to drain the fuel out of the tank and put fresh in. When I first got this car running, which I think was 2 years ago, I put 5 gallons of 91 octane from the store up here in it, and it has 10% ethanol in it. And, you know, supposedly this newer gas doesn't last, and I don't want to have an issue whether it's still good or not. I'm not going to get the engine running and then have an issue trying to diagnose it when it could be the fuel bad. So I'm going to go ahead and drain the tank. I'm going to use that gas in my lawnmower because that thing had run on garbage out of the trash can just about. But that's where I'm at. That's what I'm going to do today, is try to finish this thing up. I don't know if I'm going to fire it up today. That's a pretty tall order, but I mean, the car's so simple I probably could, but it is a little intricate to put this car together. There's a series of how to, you know, putting things on in order and stuff, and when time goes by from me having the engine out and in and out, I forget how things go together. And then sometimes, I remember last time I did put this engine in, I would put something together and then I'd have to take it apart to put something else on. So I think one of them was the oil pressure sender down here by the filter. I couldn't get the header on with that on there, so I know that for sure, but I don't remember if there was anything else or not. I'll figure it out. But I may or may not try to start the car today. It just depends. I hope I can, but oh yeah, I forgot. These headers, these are stainless steel headers, and these look like total garbage. So I'm gonna go through and polish them up again. I polished these last time and there ain't 15 minutes of runtime on that engine the first time probably. So I'm going to go ahead and use a microfiber and Mother's Mag and aluminum polish and clean those back up again. They get spotty looking for whatever reason. They look funny. They look awesome when I polish them, but I don't get it. It almost kind of looks like oxidation, and these are stainless, but they're probably a cheap stainless that has a little bit of steel in it, you know what I mean? Or a little more steel in it, I guess. I don't know, but I'm gonna get started. Well, that's the best part for me, to be in here with the garage door closed and the door open to the house. I get my chief mechanic here. That's what you are, ain't you, Kiki? Chief mechanic? Look at it. So I didn't get the back end of the car jacked up in time. The neighbor's lawn service showed up to mow their yard, and it always gets a bunch of stuff in the air, so I didn't want it trickling in here and getting on my engine are, you know, all over the car. So I close the door for now. I'm going to wait for them to leave. I'm going to wait probably another 10 or 15 minutes after they leave and stuff kind of settles down. And then I'll jack up the back of the car, because I have to have the floor jack going that direction with the handle to get it up there. But anyway, then I'll get it on ramps, and then I'll close the door and open the house door again and see if I can't get it cooled off in here. So it's actually pretty warm in here right now with that door shut, but it'll take it a little bit to cool off. But it's not a super big deal for me. I can work out in the heat, but it is kind of nice to have a little bit of AC coming through here. And the other man, that really sucked. I had to scrub on those for quite a while to get those pretty clean, and they'll just end up doing it again. But golly, what a mess. So I use 4/0 steel wool with mothers all over it, which this one I was using for a dry on this brush finished flange, but this is the one that I pretty much wore it out. But anyway, I went over the whole thing with 4/0 steel wool and mothers on it, and scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed, and I got it clean. But anyway, I wiped it off. Now I'm going to go back with another new microfiber and some Windex, spray it all down, and try to get off the residue, the oily residue from that stuff, because it would basically cook once your engine fires up. That's another thing I've talked about before. A long time ago, I got a set of aluma-coated headers for a Tri-5 Chevy, and for once I read the instructions, and it said to not break in a hydraulic, you know, or a flat tappet style camshaft that you have to start up and run for like 15 or 20 minutes with the RPM up a little bit, because it would cook the coating. They want you to heat cycle them basically a couple times, starting, letting them get hot, shut it off, let it cool, and then do that a couple times. But you know, not many people's going to have an extra set of headers laying around to break in their camshaft on their car, you know what I mean? These are all stainless. These are just some eBay cheapies, overseas made. They're not too terrible. The welds don't look too bad, but I noticed very first thing, the flanges are warped, so I'm using a pretty thick header gasket, full length one. It's the aluminum style. I can't remember the brand of it, Cometic maybe, I don't remember. But anyway, once you install the headers, when you put them on your engine, you know, you got to touch them and hold on to them unless you're using rubber gloves. But I will go back with Windex again and wipe them back down after they're on the engine. That way it gets all my oily fingerprints off of them as well. So what would happen on an aluminum coated header is you would cook your fingerprints to it and they will stay in there. So I mean, you might be able to polish it out with a little bit of some kind of polish, but I just basically wanted to tell you what I learned. But I spent a good probably 15-20 minutes on this header. I didn't do the flange that great. I need to go over it a little bit more with the dry piece, but it's brushed, so I can't really polish on it too much. I probably could, but I'm not going to. That's what I'm saying. So I'm gonna get back to it. So I pulled the drain plug out of the gas tank to drain that gas out, because it's been in there for almost 2 years. And to my surprise, there wasn't hardly any gas in it. What the heck? I don't know what's up with that. I wouldn't have thought I burned 5 gallons out of it sitting in here running. No telling. Thank goodness for drain plugs, man. Alright guys, so I didn't get real far, but I did bolt quite a few parts on the engine. Kind of ran into a mess, and I always had trouble before putting the headers on the car, because I basically got 12-point stainless steel ARP bolts and everything. So trying to do them on the headers, it has always been a challenge to either, you know, take them off or put them on. So what I've decided today, after I've already bolted this one on, there's a few of these, there's 3 of these 12-point bolts that you can't get to. You can't get a box end wrench on them. So what I had done is I tried to make a wrench, and I cut it out and then I thinned it down, and it was kind of working because you can't get a box end up in here, but it would work for that until it stretched out. When you're trying to tighten it down, it just stretches them out. So what I've decided to do, what I was doing is I've got a spare box of ARP, just regular hex head, not 12-point. I've got a box in my house of spares, and I was using the ARP hex head stuff on my wife's 4-door 55 engine, or I'm going to be. And when I inventoried her bolt set, I was, whatever I was missing, I bought in separate. Other than this, I bought a header set, and that is actually for the 4-door. What I've decided to do is I'm going to go ahead and use them on this car because it's going to simplify things. They're not going to match the rest of the stuff, but I don't know that anybody's really going to notice it, especially with the, the headers being stainless and the bolts being stainless. So I just don't think it's going to, I actually, just to clarify, I don't care. I'm doing the hex head so it's easier for me to install and remove the header bolts. But anyway, I was just going through the box and using spares. I was thinking I would leave them all 12-point and just change out this one, and this one here, because those are pretty much impossible to, I had to use this funky wrench on there, but now it's stretched out and it doesn't work. Of course, when you cut all the support out of it, it's going to stretch out. But I've just decided I'm going to go ahead and pull all these 12 points out one at a time and just replace them with these hex. So I'll just have to buy another header bolt set for my wife's car.